Michael Barrett, Richard Bennett, Carol Bissett, James Buckley, Paula Byrne, Caroline Carey, John Colgan, Jacqueline Croker, Liam Dunn, Michael Farrell, David Flood, Thelma Fraser, Michael French, Josephine Glenn, Michael Griffiths, Robert Hillock, Brian Hobbs, Eugene Hogan, Myrta Kavanagh, Martina Keegan, Mary Keegan, Robert Kelly, Mary Kennedy, Mary Kenny, Margaret Kiernan, Sandra Lawless, Francis Lawler, Maureen Lawler, Paula Lewis, Eamon Lockman, George McDermott, Marcella McDermott, William McDermott, Julie MacDonald, Teresa MacDonald, Gerard McGrath, Caroline McHugh, Donna Mahan, Helena Mangan, James Miller, Susan Morgan, David Morton, Kathleen Muldoon, George O'Connor, Brendan O'Mara, John Stout, Margaret Thornton, Paul Wade. They are the 48 names of those who died 40 years ago in the Stardust fire. There are hundreds who were injured, and we don't know the cost in terms of trauma, in terms of heartbreak, in terms of marriages, in terms of suicide, in terms of addiction. But the cost is huge. So what I'm asking, Minister, is about the cost of what the families are looking for in terms of ensuring that the inquiry into the Stardust fire, which cost all these lives and all that pain, can finally be set up.
Thank you, Last Count Corla, and I would like to convey the apologies of Minister Naughton, who regrets that she cannot be here today due to another commitment. On behalf of the Minister, I would like to thank Deputy Ríordáin for raising this very important matter here this morning and for giving me the opportunity to clarify a number of issues on behalf of the Minister. Firstly, let me say that the Stardust fire was a national tragedy and that has left a particular legacy of pain for many people in North Dublin. I sympathise greatly with the families of the 48 young people tragically killed in the Stardust fire over 40 years ago, and those who were injured and those who were left traumatised. These families have suffered a terrible loss. I also recognise the impact on everyone who attended that night and the impact on the local community and the responders. I think it is important to say that the new Stardust inquests were directed by the Attorney-General, and significant work has already been undertaken by the Senior Dublin Coroner, Dr. Moira Cullinan. She has had 5 pre-inquest hearings to date, and I am informed that the 6th pre-inquest hearing is scheduled to take place on October the 13th. As the Deputy will be aware, the conduct of Stardust inquests themselves is entirely a matter for the Senior Dublin Coroner. She, like all coroners, is independent in relation to the conduct of inquests as set out in the Coroners Acts. It is important to note that neither the Minister nor her department have any role in this regard. However, I wish to assure you and the families that the Minister Naughton is committed to ensuring that the Stardust inquests and the families involved are provided with all relevant supports. In this regard, extensive work has already been undertaken. Government funding of up to €8 million has been allocated for the new inquests. This funding will help provide for legal aid for the families concerned. Minister Humphreys signed the Civil Legal Aid Regulations of 2021 in May, and these regulations allow all families, on an exceptional basis, to access legal aid for the Stardust inquest, regardless of means. The Legal Aid Board, which is independent in the conduct of its function, is, I am informed, engaging with the legal representatives of the families to agree an appropriate funding structure and schedule. The funding will also provide for other necessary supports, including the fit-out of the bespoke COVID-compliant courtrooms in the RDS. Remote hearing technology has also been installed to allow the inquest to be undertaken safely for all concerned. Thank you.
Thank the Minister for the reply. Minister, nobody, and certainly not myself, want an unseemly, political row over what is an intensely traumatic and sensitive issue. The families, however, feel that the funding has not been made available to their satisfaction. There is the potential for 47 families not to be involved in the inquest if things continue as they currently stand. So can I urge you, while I understand you're not the decision maker in this regard, but can I urge you to ensure that you speak to the Minister and ensure that this inquest can continue and that we don't have any cloud hanging over it, because we all want an inquest to begin, for the truth to be found in good faith on all sides. What we don't want is to have a row over money, because money really is irrelevant when you consider the list of people that should be still alive today, because all of them were young enough to still be alive today. So I'd ask you to make that case, Minister, and for this to be resolved, because it's the last thing any of the families want to be talking about, and I'm sure it's the last thing you and the officials in the department want to be talking about in terms of the Stardust fire inquest, is that there was a row before it started over money, and money which wasn't forthcoming from the department.
To conclude.
Thank you, Aodhán Corla, and I certainly agree with the Deputy that I think nobody wants to be having rows over funding, and I will bring the Deputy's comments and sentiments to the attention of Minister Naughton when she returns. As I've said, extensive work has already been undertaken, and I understand that work will continue to do so, and the Legal Aid Board will continue to engage with the legal representatives of those families, but it's obviously and understandably is an extremely sensitive and tragic situation, and I will certainly bring the Deputy's concerns to Minister Naughton's attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the